introduce myself first. I'm Jennifer Hafer. So a lot of y'all have probably been receiving emails from me or something I sent you. Hopefully you liked the way those looked. This is kind of our first in a while teachers workshop. There I typically teach kind of the principles of micro. So I do principles of micro, just started principles of macro. I teach intermediate micro, and then I also teach a managerial economics class, which is just a little bit more applied, both at the undergraduate and the MBA level. So I'm more of an applied microeconomist. That's what I love to do. Part of the reason I'm the one up here talking to y'all today is I'm the director of our Center for Economic Education. Some of y'all have worked with us in the past, maybe with Brian Schultz. He recently retired. He might stop in today and say hi. But I've kind of taken over that role, and we're just trying to get some more activity going here, kind of with the legacy that he left behind, keep that going for sure. My favorite economics concept to teach, don't judge, but I love cost curves. Like, I know that y'all mentioned the graphs. The supply, that is just, I love graphing. The line, they're so beautiful. My students just think I'm the craziest. But, you know, if a line is shaped one way, how much information do we get from that? So I've gone to a couple of high school classes and helped out with that topic. Or a lot of y'all mentioned some interesting things. I took some notes. So I'll go to the next slide here. These are just resources, lots of resources. Hopefully you're familiar with them. If so, a lot of y'all mentioned history and geography. So there is tons of resources linking economics and history together. We have, there's this great book that I'm getting for a couple of our teacher ed students, and it's it's economic episodes in history, something like that. I have a copy here, but I can get some more if you're interested in that. It essentially kind of takes every event in history and really ties in economic concepts. So it's like some of y'all said, sneaking that economics in everywhere you can. The first chapter essentially are those 10 principles that every textbook kind of starts with, and then it just uses that terminology in each event. So that is a great resource, and I'll show you a couple of things on the VE 4.5 and online to just really, if you just search history, all of the lessons that will come up for that. A couple of other ones y'all said, so the stock market game, do you play that with Economics Wisconsin? Okay, so personal finance is required. Yeah, that's great. So Economics Wisconsin is kind of our state organization, and they would be able to help with any of those types of things. If you were interested in the stock market game, they could help with some training. There's a state competition. So there's some other avenues you can take there. And then y'all also mentioned behavioral economics and psychology. Well, great timing. They just released, our Council for Economic Education just released 5 lessons on behavioral economics. And they're really great, detailed ways for you to incorporate kind of a behavioral economics in a very simple way that your students can kind of attach to there. So I'm going to pull down this slide real quick and show you these resources. So have y'all heard of the Council for Economic Education? That's kind of the big national organization that we're all under. So you can go there, check out what's going on. Econ EdLink, have y'all used that? Okay, perfect. Do y'all have an account and y'all save your lessons and all of that? Okay, do that, you little heart. I'll show y'all that in a second. As I mentioned, Economics Wisconsin is our state organization. And then we have our center here, so that's me with the support of everyone that you see here. We're also here as well, and then the virtual economics. So these are all the logos. That's fun. But I want to take you to each of these little websites. So this is the council. Most of y'all have said y'all have heard about it. So a lot of information here. Math in the real world, of course, y'all can guess I love that section or set of resources. And then, this is also my favorite, by the way, high school economics. That's one of my favorite. I've done a couple of workshops just on that book. Then we have Econ EdLink. And this is sports econ. Do any of y'all use sports? This is a pretty good lesson as well. But you can go here to topics and you can just search these. You can search by lessons and you can type in history and all of this stuff will come up for you. So you can search by kind of subject. Y'all mentioned history, personal finance. All of this is right here for you with a quick search. The next one, some of the resources that we're using today are from there. Okay, and then I just want to let y'all know we have a Facebook page essentially what I do is I try a couple of times a day here to just post different resources. This is a hilarious video. Have y'all seen it? It's awesome. It's just like, what would an economist do for Christmas? And so your students, do y'all know what the answer is? What kind of gifts, like what would an economist give somebody for Christmas? Cash or nothing. Have y'all seen the Big Bang Theory episode where Sheldon is like, no? Okay, well, I'll stop talking about that. Then I have just, fun things, but I try to link to different lessons. So if you're kind of stuck or in a bind, this is a really good place to go and just kind of find some more lessons. So there's that math in the real world, as I mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and plug this. I have it at the end, but do any of y'all do the economics challenge? Yeah, I was like, I think we have one. Okay. It is like, it's my favorite time of year, by far. It's in April. We're scheduling all that stuff right now. Essentially, it's a quiz bowl for students. So you, a teacher, you have a set of students, maybe in a couple of groups of like 4 or 5 or something. And you come, we have a couple competitions. We do one in Milwaukee. We're going to do one in Appleton this year. I think we've done them in Eau Claire and La Crosse in the past. So we'll have 3 different locations. And you just bring your students, and they have a grand old time. They take a couple of tests, and then we really do get them up there, and they're quizzing in. And I don't know, but they so enjoy it, and it's just exciting to see them get. So you said jazzed up about this stuff. It really is. So they're in a room with other people that kind of are interested in the subject too. So if you want some more information, we have somebody that's done it in the past. I'm kind of the director for that for our state. So feel free to ask me or reach out to Economics Wisconsin, or I'm pretty sure I'll be sending you all of this stuff as well. So I'm going to log out so we don't get any crazy things coming up during the lecture stuff. But we're going to go ahead and jump into V4.5, okay? Do y'all have any questions so far? We're not going to spend too long in it. I would say each lesson, so we have today, the agenda's not up here, but you do have it in front of you, okay? So we've already done the first part, kind of the intro. We'll look at the V4.5 to get you familiar with that and really make it valuable for you. And then we'll just kind of start. We have 3 different topics. 3 or 4 different topics that will kind of go on. Essentially, the day will be, we'll give you about 10-15 minutes of just content, just make sure common pitfalls that students might run into when discussing these subjects or topics, and then we will open it up and just kind of do an activity or something. So we have about 30 minutes where we'll make you get up and do some of the stuff where you're going to ask your students too. I think it's just valuable in that you can kind of see where things should be placed, just logistics of doing some of these activities. We'll go through that. And then we'll take a break. After each thing, we'll take a break about 10 minutes so you can get some more food. Restrooms are down the hall, or you can jump on that V4.5 and maybe kind of plan your lessons or take a look at that. So how many of y'all are familiar with the V4.5? Or have kind of heard anything, have heard about it? Do y'all have one? A couple of y'all might have one, I think. Okay. I don't know about y'all, but I love this thing. Do y'all use it a lot? So some of y'all that have it, do y'all really use it here? It's one, I use it in my class too. I know I teach a lot of freshmen, so these are still appropriate. And one thing I'll tell you is, as you're doing these, don't start from scratch. Pull some things from here and then kind of adjust to wherever your students are, or just take bits and pieces from a lesson. But essentially, you're welcome to go ahead and open that and play on that. That's why I normally kind of give those little treats at the end so you're not playing on them all the time. But I'd rather you kind of get on there, and if y'all have questions, let's figure it out. But if you want to do that, if not, I'm just going to go here, and this again is all recorded, so you can go back and check it out. But all you have to do is plug that jump drive in. If you're connected to the internet, when you search for lessons, the ones that are on that Econ Ed link that I said before will pop up. If you're not connected to the internet, they just don't. Okay, so if you don't have internet, or you do, this is still going to be a great way for you to find things. Now, there's two ways to really search this. And you can either do it by concept or lesson. I'll do the concept real quick. I'll tell you, I live in the lesson section. But if you're just like, oh, I need to teach a certain topic, maybe it's supply and demand. Several of y'all mentioned that. You come down to the micro section. You click on, well, supply and demand. There's supply. Oh, they separate them. That's confusing. So go to supply. Okay, and what it has here is a quick overview, just common things that you need to make sure you know. There's a little video if you wanted to show this to your students as an introduction to this lecture or topic or something. Each of these guys here, if you click on that, it'll give you the definitions. So it really is kind of helping you with all of the background information before you start kind of telling your students about this. And it's pretty long. Okay, so it's good, I would say. And then there's some lessons. So if you really just wanted to jump in, all of the lessons about supply are attached here. Okay. Tips, so common things students might mess up on, and then the online resources. As I said, there's stuff available on Econ EdLink, but then there's some interactive tools, some videos. Again, you see they all reference Econ EdLink. So this is popping up because we have access to the internet. And then it's nice to see this stuff because this is what we're going to be talking about today as well. We're going to have price ceilings and price floors. Producer, y'all mentioned producer and consumer surplus. We'll be talking about that a little bit. But this is just a good, quick way to kind of see what that topic is about. And you can just go into the concept, and pull anything. You can search that way. As I said before, browsing by, I'll go back so you can see it, but browsing by the lesson. That's how I typically operate. Again, find what works best for you. But if we're browsing by a lesson, you'll notice here that there's a search by keyword, so you can just type in anything you want. You can separate this down to just high school. Now, one thing I'll say, even if you include 6 to 8 as well, sometimes those are great ideas to just get you started on something. So I would say check those out too. Don't just restrict yourself to these upper level ones here. This is where I think the magic lives here. Publication. So instead of buying each of these books, they're all on here. So all of these books, all of their lessons are on that flash drive. Okay. So there's a geography one. I just saw it. Learning, earning, and investing. Some of y'all mentioned that type of stuff. Then there's There's the high school econ one. That's my favorite. Oh, there it is. Everything's here on the jump drive. And so that's just incredible to me. But you can go in and search by the table of contents there. If you like a particular book, you can just go and explore that book. The other thing that I think is also pretty awesome is a search by standard. So if you have to match what you're doing to the state standards, it does it for you. Okay? So if we're looking here, there's Wisconsin. Okay? We could go there. And there is both on economics and finance. So some of y'all mentioned the personal finance. You come here. Maybe let's go down grade 8, grade 9. Let's see what this one is. Okay? So here they have to learn about production, distribution, exchange, consumption, and then what it does, it links directly to the lessons that would meet that standard. So you click on that button and all of the lessons that fill that standard or would meet that standard are available for you. So they've done it already, allowed you to just go in and search by a particular standard and then match lessons based on that. I think that's awesome. So that's one thing. Now let's just find something. Let's look at this one. So all you're going to do is click on that, and then you have a couple of different options. You can view it or save it, but I typically just go to view, and then I download all of these things. Okay, so then you can see these lessons. It's a lesson, step-by-step, concept, benchmarks, everything you need. It tells you straight up front. What is this going to do? What is this going to look like in your class? What procedures, step-by-step? How much time? I think that's really important to kind of keep track of as well. If you have a class period to cover a subject, you want to make sure what you've kind of found fits that plan. And then it gives you all of the answers here, and then it gives you the visuals as well, and the student activities. Okay, so everything, essentially behind every lesson is this. Okay, step-by-step procedures. kind of whatever you're looking for. And like I said, you'll find a publication that you really like, and you'll just kind of live in that one. As I said, there are a couple, there's a lot of history ones. I'm trying to think of the one. There's a really good one. The book I mentioned isn't on here, but if you're interested, let me know. I'm in talks with the publisher right now to get a couple of them. But I would say there's a lot of resources here, whether it's personal finance, whether it's history, the psychology stuff. Again, those are some new behavioral lessons on that. Like I said, I use it in my class all the time, even if it's just kind of to get an interactivity to do before I start lecturing, have them play a game or something along those lines. But again, I would say don't just restrict it to 9 through 12. Check out some of those 6 to 8, even if it's just for concepts or intro. I know. Yeah, I know for sure the high school economics, that book has updated some of the lessons. So there's some hot lessons in there, like there's a market for cocoa, which is a supply and demand one. I'll be doing a supply and demand one today. There's a monetary and fiscal policy game in there, and what they've done is taken older ones and really updated them. So I think they are in the process of doing that. And in the beginning, if you saw, when we first came on, you can register to receive updates. I think that might be a way to see if they're adding some new publications. Typically what will happen is any of the new publications, they'll kind of start letting you know on Econ EdLink or even this EE page. Like the math and the real world stuff, that's new, and it's slowly, they're releasing section by section of that. And eventually I could see in future versions, it would be available on here. So I think they are trying to update them. But yeah, some of those good old lessons are still there for us to use. But I think they're definitely, each version adds a couple more. But then if you kind of register for those updates as well, that'll give you just an inside information on it as to the pace at which they'll add things. So I just wanted to give you a real brief overview of what that looks like. So the first thing we'll talk about today will be just supply and demand. It really helps to just kind of go through a couple of big topics there. And then we'll move on to healthcare, which is going to also use that model to kind of really dive a little bit deeper into that. And then we will go to monetary and fiscal policy. And so we'll have a game that we'll play there as well. And then we'll end with Fred.